The floor was already spotless, but Emily dragged the mop one more time across the marble, each stroke methodical, like a heartbeat she could still control. Her shoes squeaked faintly, echoing through the empty luxury dining hall, 52 stories above the world she actually lived in. The chandelier above flickered like a crown made of crystal teeth. Below it, 3 men remained at the corner table, laughing over rare roast beef and red wine aged longer than her son had been alive. Their forks clinked against bone-white plates. Their laughter didn't reach her. It never did. Emily kept her head low, not from shame, but because the only way to keep your dignity sometimes is not to let them see your eyes. "Hey," a young server brushed past. "They want the floors cleaned after they leave." She nodded. No fight in her, just a quiet retreat, rolling the mop bucket toward the back, until she saw it. A photo. Framed, hung higher than the rest. She stepped closer, breath catching. Black and white, a firm handshake between 2 men in suits. But one she knew. The dimple, the eyes. It was him, the father of her son. Frozen in time beside a smiling investor, years before boardrooms and betrayal. Her hands went cold. That same man, somewhere in this building, maybe even in that room, had once whispered promises against her neck and made her laugh in diners with greasy booths. Now she mopped under his empire. She didn't blink, didn't cry, just looked at the photo like it might blink. First, and then quietly, she whispered to no one. "He doesn't even know." The dollar bills in the jar weren't much, crumpled ones. A few coins, a folded note that said, "Bless you," in blue ink. Emily emptied it into her apron, counting without hope. Just habit, $32.17. Enough for a week's worth of bus rides. Or, she looked down at the catalog on the break table. Her finger traced the glossy photo of a plastic toy violin. Bright red, stringless, child-sized. $29.99. She exhaled softly, almost laughed, almost didn't. But later that night at the corner store lit by a single buzzing tube light, she pushed the violin across the counter like it was made of gold. Her son, Micah, saw it as she walked into their tiny apartment. His eyes wide, his breath catching. "For me?" She nodded, hanging up her coat, trying not to cry when he hugged the box tighter than he'd ever hugged her. He ran to the couch, ripped it open, and tucked it under his chin like he'd seen in cartoons. His fingers wobbled. His elbow poked out awkwardly, but in that moment, he looked like he was playing for Carnegie Hall. Emily watched him from the kitchen, stirring lentils in a dented pot. "You're a natural," she said gently. He grinned, fake bowing. Then after a long silence, just before bed, he asked, "Do you think Dad ever wonders about me?" The spoon stopped mid-stir. She blinked. The lentils bubbled behind her. "I think," she said slowly, kneeling beside him, "anyone who's met you once would never forget." He nodded like he wanted to believe her. And that night, the red toy violin slept between them on the bed, like a heartbeat trying to remember its rhythm. The hotel's automatic doors whooshed open with a sigh, like they were tired of pretending. Emily was wiping fingerprints off the brass handles when he walked in. Dark navy suit, cufflinks that caught the chandelier light like small stars. That gait, confident, casual, cruel without trying. She froze, rag in hand. It had been 10 years. His hair was shorter now, his jaw more cut. But she'd know that profile anywhere. She once traced it with her fingers in the dark. The CEO, no, Jasper. He didn't see her. Or maybe he didn't look. Men like him didn't look at women in cleaning uniforms, not unless something was broken. Emily stepped back into the shadows of the hallway. Her heart thudded like a violin dropped from a table, strings pulled too tight. Flashback, a train platform, a scarf around her neck, his hand holding hers, promising, "I'll come back, you and the baby, I swear." But he never did. Back in the present, she heard his voice. Cold, measured, speaking to the manager. "Boardroom ready? I'll need it all night. Big acquisition. He passed by her, inches away. Her grip tightened on the rag. He didn't recognize her. Not even a flicker. Just the ghost of someone who once meant everything. Later that night, she found herself scrubbing the edge of the marble conference table he used. Long after he'd left, like maybe, if she scrubbed hard enough, the past would let go. But it didn't. It never does. He didn't recognize her, but she remembered every promise he broke. The clipboard was shoved into her hands before she could object. Private dining. VIP suite only, the supervisor barked. No mistakes. This one's important. Emily stared at the room assignment. Suite 19. Her stomach turned. It was his. She paused outside the frosted glass doors, her reflection caught between the golden letters like a ghost trapped in the past. Inside, his dinner sat untouched. Roast lamb, wine breathing in expensive silence. A folded napkin rested beside his silverware like it was waiting for something more human than money. Emily walked in slowly, rubber soles silent on velvet carpet. Every surface gleamed already, but she still wiped. It wasn't about dust, it was about dignity. The scent of cologne still lingered in the air, familiar, sharp, like memory dressed in a suit. The door creaked open. "Didn't mean to startle you," Jasper said, setting his phone on the table. "You do incredible work." She didn't look up. "Thank you." "Cleanest dining room I've seen in any of our properties." Her hands moved steadily, trained not to tremble. He leaned casually on the back of a chair. "Do I know you?" Emily turned toward him, the faintest smile on her lips. "No, sir." He nodded, unconvinced, and walked out, his footsteps echoing like questions left unanswered. She exhaled, alone again. He complimented her work, still unaware he once held her heart. The sun had barely risen when Emily stirred the oatmeal, thin, watery, and stretched for one more morning. Her son, Liam, sat cross-legged at the coffee table, coloring a page that was mostly sky. He hummed a tune as he drew, fingers stained with blue crayon. "I need you to sign something," he said, holding up a crumpled sheet. "Field trip, orchestra stuff." She wiped her hands on her apron and took the form, $75 for travel. Additional $30 for meals. Her heart dropped. She folded the paper slowly, like it might disappear if she pressed hard enough. "We'll see, baby. I'll try." Liam nodded. He didn't complain. That's what hurt the most. Later, as she scrubbed dishes in the staff kitchen, Emily thought about the violin, the one she bought from a pawn shop with leftover tips, how his face lit up, how he'd pretend their apartment was Carnegie Hall. He had talent, pure, raw, unshaped talent. And yet, talent didn't pay for buses, or meals, or uniforms. After her shift, she returned to the form. Parent information, it said. Under father's name, Liam had written in block letters, "My dad's a businessman." She stared at it for a long time. Not with anger, not even sadness, just, wait, she signed it anyway, even if it meant skipping her own lunch all week. In those bold, hopeful letters, her son unknowingly named the man who didn't even know he had a son. The hotel's executive elevator gleamed like a silver box of silence. Emily stepped inside, clutching a tray of leftover canapés. As the doors began to close, a hand slid in. Him. The CEO. He stepped inside, nodded politely, and pressed the top floor. She faced forward, stiff as marble. The elevator hummed upward. So did the silence. He cleared his throat. "You're the new staff member in dining services?" She nodded, eyes fixed on the floor numbers. "You're very efficient. I've noticed." Her lips twitched. "Thank you, sir." Then, like lightning in a dry field, he asked, "Do you have children?" Her breath caught. Of all questions. "Yes," she said. "A son." Something flickered in his eyes. "How old?" 11. He smiled just a little. "That's a good age. Curious. Sharp." She swallowed. "He plays violin." "A musician?" he said, surprised. "I used to love Chopin as a boy." The elevator dinged and stopped. Lights flickered. Then, everything jolted. They were stuck. He pressed the emergency button. Nothing. She exhaled, steadying herself against the wall. Well, he chuckled awkwardly, guess the universe wanted us to chat. She looked up for the first time, straight into his eyes. My son, she said quietly, looks just like his father. He blinked. Oh? The silence wasn't awkward now. It was thick with unspoken memories. Before he could respond, the emergency speaker crackled, but not before something in her eyes made him uneasy, like déjà vu wrapped in guilt. The ballroom shimmered like a dream sculpted from crystal and gold. Chandeliers sparkled above rows of navy blue tuxedos and gowns that rustled like expensive secrets. Emily adjusted the starch-white collar of her catering uniform. It was too snug at the neck. The gala was in full swing, and she'd been assigned to the VIP section. Waiters moved like shadows. She, like silence. Across the room, cameras flashed as the CEO arrived, dashing in black, glass in hand, charm on cue. He owned the space, the way men like him always did. But Emily wasn't watching him. Not really. She watched her son, hidden near the entrance, in a borrowed button-up 2 sizes too big. He'd slipped past security, wide-eyed, clutching something behind his back. Liam, she hissed when she spotted him. What are you doing here? I wanted to see the people you serve, he said. And I brought my violin. Her heart stuttered. You can't. This isn't the place. Too late. He stepped forward, onto the small stage between courses. One bow stroke silenced the clinking of wine glasses. Heads turned, even his. The CEO leaned in, recognizing the boy's face as the melody bloomed. A soft, haunting tune. And then, the boy spoke into the mic. Hi, my name's Liam. My mom works here. And I think that man over there might be my dad. Every head turned. The CEO went pale. Emily couldn't breathe. Silence, thick as fog, swallowed the ballroom. Champagne flutes hovered mid-air. Forks paused above filet mignon. All eyes locked on the boy with the violin, and the man whose glass nearly slipped from his fingers. The CEO blinked. Once, twice. As if reality had become static. Emily couldn't move. Her hands clenched the edge of the dessert tray. The world slowed. Liam, she whispered, stepping toward the stage. But the boy held his ground, chin up, voice small. Sure. You look like the picture, he said. The one Mom keeps in the drawer. The CEO's throat tightened. What picture? Liam pulled a folded photo from his pocket and held it up. A younger version of the man, smiling beside Emily. Her hair longer then, her eyes lighter. A photo taken in summer, when the world was softer. He stared at it, then at Emily. You knew, he said to her, voice low, cracking. Emily's jaw clenched. I begged your assistant to let me speak to you. She gave me a check and a warning to disappear. A murmur spread through the room like wind through wheat. His eyes darted. Confusion, regret, fury boiling. I never knew, he breathed. God, I never knew. Liam looked between them, violin still trembling in his grip. Do you want to know me now? The question shattered what little control the man had left. He stepped forward, voice shaking. Yes, I do. I swear I do. Emily turned to him, eyes gleaming, not with softness but with storm. Wanting him now doesn't erase the years you were gone. The violin echoed faintly behind them, like thunder waiting to return. The bow trembled in Liam's hand. And across the room, the man who once broke her heart met the boy he never knew, with nothing between them now but truth, trembling and loud. The CEO's office was no longer cold. Sunlight filtered through the towering windows, gilding the glass table where Emily sat across from him, fingers nervously tracing the rim of a teacup. Her silence wasn't hesitation. It was calculation. She had waited years for this moment. She wouldn't waste it on trembling. I would have raised him with you, he said. I would have. You didn't know, she cut in. I get that. A beat. But I did try to tell you, she continued. I came to your building. I was 3 months pregnant, scared, alone. I asked to see you. His breath hitched. My assistant, Jessica? Emily nodded, eyes hardening. She handed me a sealed envelope, said it was a gift for my dignity. He stood abruptly, knocking over the chair behind him. She what? She said if I loved you, I wouldn't ruin your career with scandal. That you were engaged to someone important. That a janitor's baby didn't fit the legacy. He paced to the window, fists clenched. She told me you were out of the country. I waited 6 hours in that lobby. Then I left. I never left the building that day, he said quietly. I was in the boardroom. Emily's voice cracked. I thought you chose silence. He turned to her. I chose nothing. It was stolen from me. Their eyes locked. I can fix this, he said. No, she replied, calm but firm. You can try, but you don't get to skip the damage and claim the reward. He stepped closer, softer this time. Then let me earn it. Let me earn him. Emily stood. Start by showing up, not with money, with music. That's how he'll know. She left, and the door whispered shut behind her. The courtroom smelled of polished wood and tension. Emily sat in the front row, her lawyer whispering legal jargon she barely heard. Across the aisle, the CEO, Nathan, looked less like a mogul and more like a man trying to rewrite the past. His tailored suit couldn't hide the shake in his hands. The judge adjusted her glasses. Mr. Hartman, you're requesting partial custody? Nathan stood. Yes, Your Honor. I want to be part of my son's life. Emily's chest tightened. My son. The words landed like thunder in her ribs. Ms. Carter, the judge asked. Do you oppose? Emily rose slowly. I do. On what grounds? She swallowed. Because parenting isn't a performance you step into when it's convenient. Because for 10 years I've held every fever, heard every cry, saved every penny. He's not a project. He's a person. The judge raised a hand. I understand, Ms. Carter, but Mr. Hartman has a legal right to petition for shared custody. Emily sat down, heart racing. Nathan looked at her. I didn't come to erase you. I came to join him. If I'm late, it's not because I didn't care. It's because I was blind. A long silence followed. Then the judge spoke. This court orders temporary shared custody, 2 days a week with the father under monitored conditions. Emily closed her eyes. Not defeat. Not quite, just adjustment. Outside the courthouse, their son stood between them, violin case in hand. He looked up. So, I get 2 homes now? Emily knelt. No, baby. You've always had one home. Me. But now, maybe. Just maybe. You'll have 2 hearts showing up for you. Nathan looked away, tears slipping, and the boy reached for both their hands. The living room was quiet, save for the soft creak of the old wooden floor. Nathan sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, unsure where to rest his hands. Emily stood by the doorway, arms crossed, not in anger, but in armor, and between them, their son, in a wrinkled school shirt, opened his violin case like it held fragile hope. He looked up, nervous. Can I play something? Neither parent spoke, only nodded. He lifted the violin, bow in one hand, courage in the other. The first note was soft, wobbly, then steadier. It wasn't polished. It wasn't perfect, but it was honest. Emily's eyes shimmered. She remembered the nights she'd stayed up past her shifts, guiding his fingers, whispering, Again. You're getting there. She remembered the plastic toy violin, the one bought with tip money, now replaced by this second-hand wooden one, still chipped, still beautiful. Nathan's chest ached. That melody. He recognized it. Vivaldi. The same piece his own father had once played in their grand home. But now, here it was, rising again from a boy he didn't raise, yet somehow had his fingers. The song ended. Silence. Then Nathan whispered, That was beautiful. The boy grinned. Mom taught me. Emily blinked, then softly added, No, I only showed him where the music lives. He found it. Nathan nodded. Then I'm grateful that he had you. The boy looked between them, violin still in hand. Do you think music can make people forgive? Emily didn't answer. She walked over, sat beside Nathan, and placed her hand on their son's shoulder. For now, that was enough. The hotel hallway shimmered with polished marble and silence. Emily stood in front of the linen closet, hands trembling, not from fear, but from finality. Her cleaning cart was still beside her, half-loaded. Her name tag, Emily, Guest Services, gleamed beneath the flicker of fluorescent lights. She didn't clock in that morning to make a scene, but life had been quiet for too long. Across the hall, a bell dinged. The executive elevator opened. Nathan stepped out, phone to his ear, mid-conversation. He froze when he saw her. She didn't wait for him to speak. "I'm done." He blinked. "Emily, I've scrubbed your plates, cleared your silence, smiled through every memory this building threw at me. But I can't keep pretending I belong below the chandeliers." He put his phone away. "You don't have to walk away." "Yes," she said, voice steady. "I do. But not because I'm weak. Because I finally remember who I am." She reached up and unclipped her name tag, setting it gently on the cleaning cart like a parting gift. Her eyes didn't waver. He stepped forward, voice low. "You deserve more, not just gratitude, position, purpose. Will you let me give you that?" She tilted her head. "Not as charity." He smiled, soft, humbled. "As respect. I'd like to offer you something else. Head of guest relations." Silence stretched between them like a breath held too long. She didn't answer, just walked past him, chin high, heels clicking louder than any applause. As she reached the lobby doors, Nathan called after her, voice rich with something new. "Hope. Think about it, Emily, the offer stands. So does the respect." She didn't turn, but her pause at the doors said enough. The office was quiet at dusk. Glass walls turned amber in the fading sun, shadows dancing across polished floors. Emily hadn't planned to return, but her curiosity whispered louder than her pride. She stood inside Nathan's office, alone, the air smelling faintly of cedar and ambition. A picture frame of his son sat near the desk. Beside it, a thick leather binder lay slightly ajar. She hesitated, then opened it. Inside were clippings, pages yellowed with years, photos of her, smiling in a waitress apron, a wrinkled sonogram, an old hospital bracelet with her name, dates scrawled in the margins, flight records, receipts from private investigators. She flipped to the last page, a handwritten note, tear-stained and smudged. "If you ever read this, I never stopped looking." "Nathan." Emily sank into the leather chair, folder trembling in her hands. All these years, while she raised their son alone, thinking he forgot, thinking he moved on. He was searching. Suddenly the door opened. Nathan stood there unsure. "I didn't expect you to come back." She looked up, voice barely above a whisper. "You never gave up." He stepped forward. "I didn't know what I was looking for. Until now." Tears rimmed her eyes, not of weakness but of release. "You kept all this?" she asked. He nodded. "Every lead, every thread. You mattered, even when I was too late." Emily gently closed the folder and stood. Her voice was soft but certain. "I needed to know. And now I do." She walked past him again, but this time her hand brushed his. A flicker of warmth, not forgiveness, but maybe the start of it. The rooftop was dressed in fairy lights and folding chairs. A soft autumn breeze lifted curls and rustled music sheets. Parents sipped cider from paper cups as children tuned instruments. In the center, a weathered upright piano waited beneath the stars. Emily stood to the side, coat buttoned to her chin, arms crossed more from nerves than cold. Nathan joined her, hesitant. Not in a tailored suit, but a wool sweater and jeans. Just a man, just a father. Their son adjusted his collar, his toy violin replaced long ago by a real one. Polished and proud in his small hands. "I didn't even know he could play like this," Nathan whispered. "You weren't there to see the nights he practiced until his fingers ached," Emily replied softly, not in blame, but in memory. Then, the music began. Notes floated into the air, fragile, trembling, then strong. The kind of sound that hushes a crowd, makes time forget itself. Nathan closed his eyes. Emily didn't. She watched him watching their son, and saw something break open in him. "I always dreamed of moments like this," she said. "I just stopped believing they'd ever come." He turned to her. Can I earn a place in your life again? The question hung between them, suspended like a note not yet resolved. Emily didn't answer right away. Instead, she let the music speak. Their son's final note soared into silence, and in that breathless pause before applause, Emily slid her hand into Nathan's. Just once. Just enough. Forgiveness doesn't arrive loudly. Sometimes, it plays softly on a rooftop under the stars. The scent of cinnamon and maple filled the small kitchen. A radio hummed low, playing old country songs that no one turned off. Sunlight spilled in through half-open blinds, catching dust like dancing fireflies. Emily flipped pancakes at the stove, barefoot, sleeves rolled up. Nathan set the table, carefully as if each plate were a chance to do something right. No suit, no tie, just sweatpants and a faded college t-shirt he barely remembered owning. Their son sat at the table already, swinging his legs and humming a tune he made up. A violin leaned in the corner, watching them like a witness. So, no gala today? Emily teased, nudging Nathan as he placed the syrup bottle down. He chuckled. I canceled 3 meetings to be here. 3? She raised a brow. 2 were real. She smiled, small but real. They sat together, not saying much. They didn't need to. The sound of forks, the thud of a glass, the laughter of a boy mid-bite. Those were their new conversations. The kind that mattered. Nathan reached for more pancakes, then paused. I like this. Us. It's not fancy, but it's full. Emily nodded. It's quiet. And safe. And warm. Their son, mouth full, looked up between them. We feel like a family. Silence. Emily's eyes glistened. Nathan reached across the table, not for her hand, not yet, but to wipe syrup off their son's cheek. That was enough. The 3 of them laughed as the radio played on. No applause, no boardrooms, no chandeliers, just love, finally at the table. The office building wasn't towering, but it stood proud. Brick and glass, modest yet elegant. Morning light kissed its windows like a promise. Inside, fresh paint still clung to the walls, and the scent of lavender lingered from a diffuser on the welcome desk. Emily walked through the hallway slowly, heels clicking on the marble like punctuation marks of a new chapter. Her hair was tied back, blazer crisp. She carried no mop, just a laptop and a quiet fire in her chest. Nathan stood in the lobby, hands in his pockets. He looked out of place in a visitor's badge, not power. His smile was nervous. This place looks real, he said. It is, she replied, brushing past him with grace. They reached the glass door at the end of the hall. Gold letters shimmered in the sunlight. Founder, Emily Carter. Carter. Hospitality and Consulting. Nathan read it once. Then again. His throat tightened. I always thought you'd end up in a place like this, he whispered. I didn't, she said, unlocking the door. But I built it anyway. Inside, plants bloomed by the window. A violin sat in a stand beside her desk, next to a framed drawing her son made. A house, 3 stick figures, and a sun too big for the sky. Emily turned to him. You ready to be my first client? Nathan grinned. I already feel honored. She sat behind her desk, exhaled, and looked around. For once, she wasn't passing through someone else's world. She was at the center of her own. Her name wasn't whispered behind closed doors anymore. It was on the door itself, where it always belonged.